As you can see from the title, this is a breakdown video of the preview for the third act of the second season of Arcane, so obviously it will include spoilers. If you want to watch the preview before watching this video, you can do that by checking it on Netflix after the third episode of the second act, or you can search for it on YouTube like I did. For example, this account posted it early. Netflix will post their own video in a couple of days or something like that. I chose to search for it on YouTube because here I can go frame by frame, and that's the way to do it whenever you are looking for secrets and details, right? So without further ado, let's get into it. So in the first scene we see Ambessa walking forward with her new weapons, the chain axes, and when we'll see that in action, it's going to be amazing, I'm sure of that, to look at. Then obviously we see her soldiers forming a testudo, which is quite common in the Roman Empire, and I would say the Noxian Empire has many similarities to the Roman Empire. And right now they are trying to break the ranks of the enforcers. You can see some bullets hitting the shields. After this scene we get to see Vi holding the door, and this is Vi because of the ripped pants. You can see the ripped pants, so that's obviously her, and the blue effect is coming out of the Hextech gauntlets. She's trying to defend against these new soldiers, and I'm saying new because the Noxians drank the Shimmer, which you can see in the first season. That's the variant they are using right now with these soldiers. Obviously we now know that there is a variant called Apex Shimmer, which is the highest variant of Shimmer, and the one which is probably inside Jinx's body. So we get to see these new Shimmer monsters, but the most important part out of this scene is that building behind them. And that building is present in the series trailer and in the trailer. So in the season 2 trailer we get to see Vi coming out of a building with someone on her back. That's Jinx, but we'll get to that in a second. And we know that's the same building because it will be bombed right now. As I said, Vi is carrying Jinx, and you can see that even better in the series trailer. You see the person is pale, and then you will look at the color of the hair, it's blue. But another part which is giving away the idea that this is Jinx is the hairstyle, because of the small braids you can spot over there, and those are taken from the idea that she will incorporate the same kind of hairstyle Isha had, well, before what happened. And they are being followed by Noxians. You can see an arrow hitting this enforcer, and in the trailer you will see the bomb hitting the building behind them. And after that we get to see in the preview how Vi is holding the door against those Noxian soldiers infused by Shimmer. Now that we established all of that, we get to see Vi fighting against these new soldiers from Noxus, or rather enhanced soldiers from Noxus. Even the word enhanced is a bit much because it's more of a curse than an enhancement, that variant of Shimmer. And one thing you need to keep in mind is the fact that she has the cut over her tattoo already. And well, that's about it when it comes to this moment. You will see her fighting throughout the preview. Now we get to see the leftovers of the council, minus Shula. I mean, Salo is dead. Shula is the bald lady, if you do not remember her. And that's obviously not her because of the hairstyle. And no, Mel is not pregnant, that's the light source. And don't quote me on this if she's actually pregnant. Actually, no, I'm not wrong about that. She's not pregnant. Let's move forward. So they're planning to do something with the Hex Gates, and I'm saying that because of Jace's gaze, which is trained on the Hex Gates. Sure, Victor's name is mentioned in the caption, but Victor won't be a problem up until the third episode, I'm saying. And that's because it would be a big deal if he comes back, and where else but not the third episode. I think the third episode will be the one where we see Victor in action and actually fighting, not just taking a hit and dying. They will first revive Warwick probably, and then they will use Warwick's blood to help Victor's regeneration or something like that, because if I remember correctly, that's the discussion between Singed and Victor. But enough about that. The biggest argument is the fact that they have a lot to resolve. Heimerdinger and Ekko are missing, all of the stuff that Jinx is going to experience after Isha's death, and of course they also need to build a new weaponry, new Hextech weaponry, which is going to happen, and for sure this is taking place sometime after the events of the Commune, because as you can see, Jace's lips are healed, and in that moment, whenever he killed Victor, you can see he is extremely rough, his lips are cut, and now that's not the case. You can also see Caitlyn, and Caitlyn is wearing this unbuttoned uniform, and the same uniform can be seen in this scene whenever she's bickering with Vi, right? And Vi's face is not cut at all. She will have a cut over the Vi tattoo, as you've seen in the previous scenes as well, and those scenes will take place after these moments. So as I said, Singed is trying to revive Warwick, and he is placing that tube into the socket which is already present on Warwick's body. You can see that in the second act as well. And I'm very surprised his head is not damaged a bit more after that explosion or whatever Isha did. I believe his head will turn into that of a wolf by the end of the revival, but we'll see what happens. Then we get to see Victor inside this compartment which was taken over by the Hextech. It was either taken over or it was created by the Hextech. Either way, he is surrounded by that corruption, and whenever he is revived, he will turn evil, just so you know. Singed is also working on other experiments, as you can see, and this one has nothing to do with Victor because the compartment used by Victor is completely different. You'll see that in a moment, but up until then we get to see this monstrosity over here. And you could say this is Warwick, and I'm not denying that possibility. However, there are a few arguments which bring the idea that this is something else entirely, another experiment. For example, Warwick's arms are much bigger than this, and we know that Singed is going to give some of them shimmer, and why not, this could be another one of those soldiers, but experimented somewhat differently than just shimmer. This is Victor's compartment I was mentioning, and a bunch of tubes are coming out of it, probably Singed experimenting with the Hextech and the liquid which is inside. There is some liquid for sure, but the main idea is that Ambessa is surprised about something in this scene. It could be Warwick being revived, but it can also be some of our soldiers taking shimmer. Each one of them is a good idea. We also get to see Victor's puppets being revived, and this is part of a scene which is present in the trailer as well. In this scene, the battle between Noxus and Piltover is in full swing. We get to see one warship, multiple other ones will follow suit, and they are firing projectiles at, it could be military infrastructure, critical infrastructure. They for sure want to blow up that hex gate. Yes, this is a small hex gate, and you can see it in the series trailer as well, and you can see one of those in League of Legends too. It should be on a small distance, used for small distances, and they will use it, the enforcers, to flank the Noxian troops, or at least that's how I see it, and that's why they are trying to blow it up. We also get to see the biggest duel in the century, Ambessa against Caitlyn. It is a duel because you see all of the Noxians surrounding them with flags and all of that stuff, and I am about to say it, I will say it. If Ambessa loses, I will knock 2 points from the score of that episode because it makes no sense for a warlord with 40 plus years of experience on the field of battle to lose against a nobody. She's basically a nobody against Ambessa when it comes to fighting one-on-one. You need to remember that Caitlyn has this cut on her forehead, so it means whenever she's shooting the sniper, this is happening before fighting against Ambessa. And you can also see Maddie in this scene. Maddie will die. She is present in one of the trailers, if I remember correctly, and she's on the ground, most likely dead, while Caitlyn is looking up somewhere. You can say that's Maddie because of the armor. Going back to the duel, you can also see that Ambessa is using these magic rocks. I will name them magic rocks, although I know it is an item from League of Legends. The main idea is that these rocks are protecting Ambessa against magic damage. You can see Rictus using the same rocks on his weapon whenever he is fighting against Jinx, and Jinx is using the Hextech gun, and she is not able to damage Rictus at all because the Hextech bullets are magic damage. This is absorbing any magic damage. So she will tank any sniper shots from Caitlyn with these magic rocks. As I mentioned in the beginning, Ambessa is ready to break the ranks of these enforcers, and she's doing just that in this scene over here. Pretty cool. Another thing I mentioned is that Vi is fighting the Shimmer monsters, right? And she has a new Hextech gauntlet. They will develop these, most likely Jace, and at one point I really hope Jinx will be involved with one of those Hextech gauntlets, because in League of Legends one of them seems very similar to the style of Jinx when it comes to weaponry, but we'll see what happens. In this scene, Ambessa is ordering her troops to fire at the balloon. That's Jinx's house. I'm saying that obviously because it's the biggest thing in the scene, and Ambessa is turning her head towards that most likely. You probably want to see more scenes of Ekko, and for good reason, because right now Rictus has more scenes, or at least I believe that's the case. Either way, I mean, all of that baiting from Reid Shannon, the voice actor, only to have almost as many scenes as Herald, the enforcer who's patrolling the academy. I mean, either way, the main idea is that you won't see him in this preview as well. But you will probably see his actions, or at least I believe you will. But you can decide for yourself if you believe the idea that he is going to use the Z drive to save Jinx. So let's get into it. You see the glass, the window, exploding and shards everywhere, flame everywhere, right? Jinx through the shards, right? And the shards form the outline of Warwick, I believe. What I get from watching this is the fact that she feels extremely sad after what happened. But the main idea is that this is a moment which happens soon after the events of the third episode from the second act. And why am I saying that? It's simply because she will be in a much better state whenever she's going to help the people from Piltover against Abessa. And that's probably going to be an entire episode when she will be with the new outfit, with the new mental state, whatever that's going to be like. If she joins the Firelights, maybe it will be a good mental state, but enough about that. So this is going to be a moment which plays probably in the first episode. Interesting enough, all of the glass moves back in place and the window is repaired. How is that possible? Let's go further in the preview. You will see that all of the flames which are engulfing the room are diminished, and you can spot that even better in that banner over there, where the hole made by the fire is smaller and smaller with each frame I skip into the preview. Is that Ekko using the Z drive to save Jinx? One thing you noticed is the fact that this is the last drop, and you know that by checking the lights which are on the ceiling and seeing that she's on an elevated position. And then you can go back to the scene when Sevika walks inside the last drop, and that's the same layout. This is the last drop, obviously. And this is also the moment from the trailer whenever she drops the match. People said that there is gasoline on the floor. Yeah, probably there is because of all the flames. There is something which happens so that all of the fire is extinguished. Or maybe this is just some kind of idea the animators had to reverse the scene and make it more artistic in some way, I do not understand. But I prefer the idea that Ekko is nearby and decides to help her. The exact moment from the trailer, as I mentioned, no gloves, no fabric on the clothing, no boots as well, and the hair is down. Probably you cannot really see it here, but in that trailer people enhanced the image and you can see that her hair is down. Now this scene is very interesting because that's a monkey bomb grenade and you can clearly spot the eyes, the ear. If you remember her toy in the first season, the third episode, but now it's only the head, created into a grenade. And it's interesting, but at the same time, this scene is also connected to the previous one. Whenever she doesn't have her fabric on the top, no gloves, right? These two scenes are connected. Another aspect which is very interesting about this moment, if this is a real explosion, where is the movement on the grenade? It would probably move a lot more. And where is the effect on Jinx's hand? What am I talking about? In the third episode of the first season, whenever Sevika is protecting Silco from the Hextech stone explosion, there is an effect on her entire arm where it looks like it's disintegrating, but that effect is missing over here and she's just dreaming the moment, similar to how Marcus is dreaming the moment whenever he is pulling the pin out of the grenade and it's exploding inside Silco's lair, right? So we have the transition, and the reason why this looks like it's in a completely different place, well, it looks like it, but that's the center of this thing over here. It's a top-down view, but right now we are in the center where the supposed explosion happens. It's most likely going to be a music video, and it's going to be pretty cool because her hair is down, and we will probably never see her hair down in an actual scene because it's probably very expensive and very hard to animate. Another connected scene with Jinx. She's contemplating, no gloves, no boots. We do not really know what's going to happen, but I believe this is going to be the first moment whenever she's contemplating. She will think about that grenade, pulling the pin out of the grenade. The music video will play out probably. Then somehow Ekko will make his way inside her lair. They will have that discussion one-on-one. Maybe they will even fight and Jinx will beat him up. That's why he has all of those marks on him. Otherwise, I'm not really seeing Ekko with all of those marks on his face while inside Jinx's lair, because whenever he is fighting against the Noxians, he has a new outfit, so that's a separate moment. And I do not believe he comes out of the realm like Jace with only a minimum amount of damage. So it's probably Jinx fighting against him with her new powers. Maybe if she's motivated enough. She doesn't seem like it. But at the same time, it would be interesting for Ekko to walk in right after that music video plays out with Jinx and her hair down. And she listens to all of that from Ekko, but she's not convinced. So she goes back to the last drop to burn it down. And that's when Ekko uses the Z drive to save her. And she is told by him that, look, I saved your life, do not do it, please, or something like that. Obviously, that was just a theory. I'm still contemplating on these ideas, and we'll see what happens if I find something new. Maybe during the event Jinx fixes everything. Maybe during that I will find out more. Then I will for sure make a new video before the third act drops. Caitlyn is on a rampage whenever she's trying to gas people, exactly what she is doing right now, using the Grey to her advantage against these Noxians with her new sniper and no cut on her forehead. I'm saying that because this is probably taking place before fighting against Ambessa one-on-one. And right now she's on a hit mission to kill Ambessa, who is maintaining position in the Undercity. It could be like that, it could be something else as well. We'll see what happens. What we do know is that she's taking an arrow in her back whenever she's fighting these people. You can see it here, to the back, in her back. Either way, it's not the knee. Vi continues to fight these monsters, and I believe after this moment she will drop down on Ekko's hoverboard. You can see that in one of the trailers. I believe she will. Otherwise, I do not really see a moment when she drops down from a high place on Ekko's hoverboard. Maybe there will be other moments, but I think this is the best one. After this scene we can see Jinx flying her house with her new minigun and her new outfit. And finally, Vi is looking at something in the air, then takes cover while being surrounded by a bunch of Noxians. Finally, what can I say? Thank you for watching. I know it's a longer video, but I really wanted to make something longer before the third act and final act is released. Unfortunately, we won't get anything related to Arcane, so enjoy the moment as much as you can.